Well, hello everybody, it's Adam from Lucid Pixel, and I'm very excited to finally bring you the Art of Overwatch. Now, finally, because it's been sitting in my cart for over a year, and I didn't realize why it was a little bit pricier than all the other ones until, of course, you look at it and you realize what a thick boy this is. Let me see if I can get that in focus, if it will. There you go. Look at how thick this thing is. It's huge. Now, I've actually tried to record this. This is probably my 7th take on this, at least full take on it, because there's so much to say about this game that I ramble on about everything because I've been playing this for years. So I'm going to try not to do that. I'm going to have to get to the point. But just to give you an example of what I'm talking about in terms of content, that, which is more than a third of the book, is all character stuff. So, of course, it's a very character-focused game, naturally. But there's a lot to be said about that. So let's just crack this open. Let's just jump into it. Okay? And the first thing you're going to see is Tracer. And no, if I'm saying, when it comes to Tracer or Bastion, I'm not saying squat. But I did just get the song in your head, so you're welcome for that. This isn't TikTok, though. I don't do that. So why is Tracer, if you ask yourself the question, why is she the character who's been picked as the kind of poster character? Because she isn't so strong a character. She's actually a little bit more neutral of a character, that she doesn't define the game. All of the characters define the game. There has to be a balance throughout all of them. If any one character has more of a presence than the others, it visually feels overpowered, right? So she's charming, she's cute, but she's neutral, okay? Now, as we flip through these characters, like I said, I have a lot to say about this stuff. So I'm just gonna kind of skim over and give you quick impressions where need be. Anna, who's kind of she reminds me a lot of a ski patrol first aid person, right? With a kind of like futuristic kind of like Kevlar outfit. And she's got the little first aid outfit over here. Her sniper rifle, I love that very iconic triangular shape they used to her body. Pay attention to that. Silhouettes are very important, particularly when you're dealing with a multicast game like this. Bastion, why is he the only one that has a companion, the little bird? Because you can't empathize with him. Remember that it's one of the very strong focuses of Overwatch, which we'll discuss a little bit in a bit, is the fact that every character has a very rich backstory. So when you're playing the character, you really feel like you really understand the motivation behind all of these different characters and why they do what they do, and you can connect with their backstories. Bastion doesn't have a facial expression you can empathize with, so they gave him a little bit of a sidekick, a little bit of a side character to reflect his gentleness, which I thought was a very clever move. Diva, who's probably one of the smallest characters, I would argue probably smaller than Tracer. So to compensate for her physical smallness, she uses her vehicle to kind of give her a little bit more girth. One of the things I love about this character, and it kind of starts to bring us into a bit of the philosophy of the game in general, is that each character isn't just a different look, but they have a different philosophy, and that philosophy is very often a reflection of the culture that they come from, and she's very Japanese influenced. I even like the fact that she's got sponsorship stickers on the side of her. Remember something very important. If you're an artist and you want to get into developing characters, remember that your job title is character designer, not humanoid shape person creator. No, character. And character means personality. It means the person's soul, the person's spirit, the person's energy. And you want to inject that into it. So when you're designing characters, you always want to go from the character out in that regard. Junkrat. First thing I thought as soon as I saw Junkrat was Brad Pitt from 12 Monkeys or the Joker. Your classic psychopath, right? Absolutely zero craps given. He'll blow himself up as much as he blows everybody else up because he's just got fire lust, right? And one of the things I love about his design too is the very little attention put towards safety in his bomb designs. He's not carefully, he doesn't have a careful like kill switch or anything on it. No, it's just exposed wire and a wick that's too short. And if it blows up in my face, well, shit happens, right? I love that. This is actually one of my favorite things here. And this is my boy. For as long as I can remember, he's my boy. This is my main, Lucio. And what do I love about Lucio? I love the fact that he has this unbending optimism about him. He's always got that sparkle in his eyes. He's always got that sweet smile on his face. Nothing brings him down. He can kick ass and he can heal boo-boos. Come on. He's the perfect combination. And he drops that bass. Now, Mccree is one of a series of characters that are essentially gun-toting male characters, right? So they had to find a different iconography for each one. They all had to hold their own. And Mccree is obviously the classic old Western cowboy character with his 6-shooter, smokes cigars. He's got his dusty cape, his dusty boots, his spurs. It's kind of like that classic all-American country boy, right? And his voice is a reflection. Oh yeah, can I say something to Blizzard? Holy smokes, do you know how to pick voice actors? Holy shit. Wow. Like, flawless. Like, you hear the voice, you see the character. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually hired the voice actors before they actually did the design themselves, because that would make a lot of sense. And another thing I think is really cool, if you follow artists like Keenan Lafferty or Mark Brunet or Clint Kearley, for instance, they're very render savvy. They love and something that Mark Brunet I know advocates for and most likely teaches in his mentorship as well is material rendering. So the old copper patina with the rubber hoses mixed in with the futuristic jet blue, right? All like the metal, the cloth, the jean, the tough fabric, the cigar, the rubber, all of these different materials have been rendered out, and that together, juxtaposed in an image, is quite nice on the eyes, right? Orisa, based off of African designs, of course, and African colors, but more of a natural palette, not the vibrant, punchy colors, but much more earthy tones. I guess, remember, we have bigger characters and smaller characters, and if you have big and flashy next to somebody who's small and neutral, then one overpowers the other. Look at Diva, for instance. She's pink, she's high contrast, she's covered in sponsorship stickers, she's got a pink thing with the bubble gum. She's very, very punchy colors, where Orisa greatly outsizes her. So in Orisa's case, it's very neutralized. But look how they I love the idea of using string beans, string peas, string beans or string peas? Can't remember. As the design element, these nice translucent greens. It's very pretty. Reaper, the second gun-toting male character. So what did they go with this? In this case, they went with kind of your Keanu Reevesy kind of biker leather. Not the Harley Davidson leather, not the cowboy, but in this particular case, we're going with more of a futuristic biking leather, but added accents of goth into this. So he's got those lovely silver rings and stuff like those little gothic accents. I love his design. I absolutely love his design. And Little Mix is much more of a futuristic, stylized line, very simplified, neutral colors as far as he goes. And that's what very much makes him stand out. It gives him that goth future biker look. Reinhardt. A little thing I learned from when I was at a store called Dracolite in Montreal, where they make armor and weapons. They even did stuff for Game of Thrones. And when I was there, I asked the owner of the store, I said, how do you feel about fantasy armor? Because he had made leather fantasy, blackened leather, kind of rogue armor. And I asked him, what's your opinion towards fantasy armor? It being impractical, right? And he says, I have absolutely no problem with it. I made that armor. I designed it. I nerd out over that stuff as much as everybody else. But when you're getting into fantasy armor, Go all the way. Don't try to be practical and be fantasy at the same time. And it was a very important lesson for me. And when it comes to very, very, very common Blizzard character designs, I would kind of compare this to kind of like the Dreadnought armor a little bit, or a Paladin armor, the big beefy Paladin armor from World of Warcraft. It is over the top design. Completely impractical. There's no way in hell you would ever be able to pick a hammer up like that or walk around in armor like that. It's ridiculous. You turn your head, you can't see anything. You got a big pauldron in your face. But it looks dope, doesn't it? So do what looks cool and throw caution to the wind as far as that goes. But don't hold yourself back with too much practicality. That can come in later on. Our next gun-toting male, Soldier 76. So what did they go with here? Captain America, right? All American, red, white, and blue. And one of the things I wanted to mention here, although I like that kind of Cyclops visor thing he's got going on in his eyes, I love this. I love him unmasked, showing that he's a little bit of an older guy with his white hair. I find it gives us a little bit more character. Maybe it would make him a little bit less visually strong on the battlefield, but I very much like this. I can understand their design decision, though. That does make sense. Sombra, again, iconic colors. What colors are these? Warlock, purple and black. Don't be afraid to go with stuff that's iconic. It sets a very strong statement. But just like one of the things I mentioned in the review of Ghost of Tsushima, which you can check out right over here, I believe it's on this side, accent colors. I love that. And they did that really nicely with Sombra, where she's got the black and purple kind of monochromatic colors, but then she's got this little bit of a cross between that and this beautiful blue, these little accents of blue on her hands and a little bit on her hair. It's a very clever choice. Torbjorn. This is your Harley Davidson guy, right? Right away. And again, they stole ideas and design philosophy from World of Warcraft, from Molten Core. Even screams Molten Core, right? But using that iconic, using that recognizable design philosophy makes him familiar, particularly from people who have played Blizzard games in the past. Very smart move. Tracer, of course, your most iconic character, who, if you look at her, in and of herself, she's dressed in a very normal outfit. Notice she doesn't have that specificity that the other ones do, at least a little bit less than the other ones. You can see that she's dynamic, she's fast, she's wearing a bodysuit type of thing, she's wearing the leather shirt, but she's somebody who can speak for everybody else because she doesn't have too much of an overpowering personality, at least visually. And Widowmaker, la française, personne n'échappe mon regard. She's your. Why would they make her French? Because every different person, every different character is kind of represented by a different culture. Why would they make her French? Think about what French very often represents: style, poise, class, refinement. So you can tell she's somebody that after she snipes somebody, she puts her gun away, she zips it up, and then she goes downstairs and puts on her dress and goes to a nice dinner party with James Bond. She's kind of got that look to her. And I love the fact that they went with the Black Widow design in her helmet as well. You can see that she's got like the spider eyes design in her sniper visor. Gorgeous design. Winston. We had Bastion, a big beefy character. We have Winston, a big beefy character, but he's got that very iconic, compassionate, pensive gorilla face. So it makes perfect sense to make him a wise, thoughtful man, right? So he's got the glasses, he's a very studious type of Frasier type of look to him. He doesn't need a supporting character at all. See? Now, when you get into environments, the environment needs to be iconic, and of course, it's a huge design challenge because these are maps that need to be completely interchangeable. You need to be able to quickly move from one spot to the other. You can't get any bottlenecks in the flow because as soon as you get bottlenecks, you don't want a character to stop, turn around, and have to go back. You want them to be able to constantly move in a forward motion, which adds to that sense of excitement in a game. And one of the things you start to notice right away, which is something that I discussed in the my Big Hero 6 review, which you can check out right over here, and 3, 2, 1, and my Blade Runner 2049, which you can check out right here, signage, advertising. It's not only a great way to kind of add flavor to something. Cyberpunk, for goodness sake, Cyberpunk. I didn't say Cyberpunk, another freaking masterpiece of a game. In that game, signage, advertising is a very strong reflection of culture, something that we see all the time, but as designers, we very often take for granted. but it's also excellent for helping you to flesh out the aesthetic of an environment and of a character. Very often signage, book covers, stickers, those kinds of things can really lend themselves into the designs of everything else. Look at these beautiful designs of these thrones over here, taking you into more of a rustic old lodge. Am I the only person who, when Blizzard, during the BlizzCon, when he came out and he said, Blizzard World, and I went, what? Blizzard World? And then he went, oh, it's a map in Overwatch? Never mind. That was probably the biggest disappointment ever. Like, I thought they were actually making a Disney World, Blizzard version of Disney World. Like, are you out of your mind? But no. Well, maybe one day. You never know. Again, signage, stickers, posters, getting into the culture of things. That will greatly inform design. Movie posters. One of the assignments that my students from the college I used to teach at, one of their assignments was to do movie posters, and I'm actually working with a student right now who's done this professionally. He did movie posters professionally, which I think is super dope. An amazing way to train your skills in composition. This is the one thing I wanted to say before I close up. Not only did Blizzard create an amazing game, but they also took games onto a whole new cinematic level. I'm sure if you play Overwatch yourself, the experience that I had, the reaction that I had when I saw their cinematics for the game the first time, the first intro during the BlizzCon. It was the first game in gaming history where the cinematics and the character designs and the animation was literally Pixar level quality. And where we're sitting there feeling strong emotions for these characters that we're only seeing on screen for minutes. Don't take for granted the incredible skill it takes from everybody involved in that production of those cinematics to pull that off. They were phenomenal. And the work, and they take their sweet ass time bringing out these cinematics as well, because they want to make sure they nail that backstory and nail the emotional pitch of it. So, from somebody who's been a diehard fan of Overwatch for years, who's been a Blizzard fan, I've been playing World of Warcraft, I've been playing Overwatch for years, and Diablo, and I have to once again tip my hat to a studio that has been through a lot of ups and downs. In the end, through all of their successes and failures, they have never given up. And for that reason, they're probably one of the best examples in the gaming industry of one of my favorite quotes. Don't judge somebody by how they handle success. Judge them by how they handle failure. Because they've had their fair share of both. There's been a lot of drama. There's been the head of the company that moved on to other things, but they never stopped pushing through. And whether or not management comes and goes, whether or not management can cause any issues for the studio, the artists that are behind all of this, the people that have produced these gorgeous, timeless games, deserve our utmost respect. And that's what I'm giving you guys today. All right, so thank you very much for watching. This was only a brief teaser, but hopefully it whet your appetite to go and pick it up for yourself. It's well worth it, trust me. And I'll see you in the next review. Take care.